After a handful of adventurers captured a ship from the royal paladins, and left the island of Corinus for an unknown destination without the approval of the Lord Protector, much occurred. Lord Hagen, deprived of his ship, marched with his knights and paladins into the Valley of Mines. He would execute the orders of King Robar II at all costs, and obtain the magic ore for the war against the orcs. His troops advanced heroically to the old castle. The commander of the local contingent of paladins, Garand, described their vain attempts to recover the little ore that had been extracted. Lord Hagen realized that the royal edict could not be fulfilled, with hordes of orcs, lizard men, and wild beasts roaming the valley. He ordered retreat from the former convict colony, but the dark throng of Velaya had waited for the paladins to leave their shielding castle. A horde of orcs, supported by their fearsome shamans and packs of lizards walking upright with gruesome swords, set upon the faithful of Enos. Lord Hagen's vassals fought their way back through the pass to Corinus. The wild hordes of darkness swarmed through behind them and spread throughout the plain. On the plateau, the Lord Protector of Corinus implored and inspired his men to stand fast and fight. With the last of their strength, and with Enos's help, the valiant warriors drove the brutes back into the pass. Lord Hagen and Lord Garand lost their lives. When it looked as if the malformed children of Beliar could yet defeat the brave faithful of the Radiant, suddenly everyone, man and beast, felt a deep, dark tone in the air that made the pass vibrate. The horrible battle came to a halt. Enos's last fighters retreated step by step. Their dark foes were confused and bewildered, and stayed in the crevice. That was to be their doom. Suddenly, the mountains shuddered. Boulders fell into the canyon from both sides, and the ground rose up against them. Countless orcs and lizards were crushed. Their death cries resounded even days later in the mountains. The magicians have come. Pyrrhikar and Satyrus led them to battle, and in a mighty invocation they made the earth itself the soldier of Enos. The great quake sealed the pass, and lifted the orcish threat to this side. Meanwhile on Onar's farm, some of the mercenaries took advantage of the power vacuum, which followed the disappearance of their leader Lee, to try and wrest control of the farm for themselves. Others felt obliged to the farmer Onar, and after a brief struggle, the rebel fighters were put to flight. Nobody knows where they fled to.
Nobody will learn anything from me. I can't believe that. He thinks it's as easy as that.
The water mages returned to Jarkandar, to the Valley of the Builders, continuing their studies on the old culture and keeping a wary eye on the pirates and bandits in the region. Doing so, they shut the way to the door behind them, so that nobody might travel the two parts of the island. Pyrrhikar and his fire mages, on the other hand, retreated to the monastery on the cliff. They had borne a heavy burden in the invocation of the earth, and were accordingly weakened. A time of rest should restore their powers. Lord Andre, the new Lord Protector of this island, decreed that the city of Corinus was not to be accessed by any without explicit permission. Small bands of orcs and lizards still roam this island, and among the shades of the paladins, quite a number of mercenaries and fortune hunters survive the pass. Lord Andre does not have enough men to face these threats, and can merely protect the city itself from attacks. And in these troubled times, a young woman begins to rebel against prevailing opinions and customs. This is her story.